answer is a staggering £53,000.
That's just an average, OK, £53,000 could be a lot more in the southeast where rents are dearer. Anyway, welcome back to Wednesday's show with Otis Deeney and Diamond and Michael Bolton. Still to come this morning, pay smokers less. Your average nicotine fiend spends more than 5 working weeks a year standing outside indulging their habit, but they still earn the same as their non-smoking colleagues. Is that fair? That's the question. 0207 173 5555 is the number if you dare to share. But first, the notion of pricing the poor out of university by degrees. Today, students across England will boycott lectures over the soaring costs of higher education. As you probably know, from September, tuition fees are going to rise up to £9,000 a year, thanks to the Lib Dems U-turning on their promise to keep a lid on costs. As a consequence, applications are down 12% this year, from 59,000 to 52,000. The number of applications from youngsters from wealthier backgrounds, that remains unchanged, but 3 out of 5 A-level pupils from poorer backgrounds are now reconsidering their plans to get a degree. Good. Why do I say that? Well, in 1993, when grants were still available, your average graduate could expect to earn double over a lifetime what someone who went straight from school to work would get. Things are very different today, thanks to tuition fees and other costs. Your average graduate, after deductions, is now just £1.30 a day better off than someone who goes from school to work. But those who graduate with an arts degree, they have an even worse time of it. According to a government review, they're likely to end up nearly £20,000 worse off over a lifetime than a non-graduate. No wonder thousands of students felt the £9,000 ceiling was too high a price to pay for education. So they may not be so well educated, Otis, but they are going to be better off, these school leavers who don't go to university. So this is good news.
It could be. I mean, I went to university in '92. And had a grant to help me out, and I left university with nowhere near the kind of debt that students are now leaving university with.
Would you have gone if you were likely to leave with £50,000 as a debt? Would it have changed your plans out of interest?
I just think my family and I would have found a way. It was very important in my family that I went through the system, if you will, and earned a degree. But it was a lot less difficult. It would have been a lot less difficult. It was a lot less difficult then than it would be now. I believe that, you know, education should be free anyway.
Me too.
Because you would then hope that all that's been learned would be pumped back into the economy. If you're leaving with loads of debt, then all you're really going to do is chase the money in order to pay it off. If that's in foreign lands, then you probably won't think twice about it.
So are you concerned that those from wealthier backgrounds, the numbers are unchanged? All the big hit that universities are taking is all from poorer people?
Yes, I am, because it adds to that divide between the rich and the poor.
Right.
Who could possibly be surprised by that? I mean, we could have all predicted that this would happen.
You would be... Because, come on, Michael, because in America... Because
I'm surprised by everything.
Sorry, that's lovely.
Continue, yes.
Well, no, just going to think, because in America, I mean, it's kind of routine. You have to pay your way, don't you?
Yeah.
And people have to save up. They save up. I mean, my late nephew, I mean, my sister was saving up pretty much from the time he was born, because that's what you have to do to pay for your child to get through their university education.
Yeah, so, and lots of poor kids never make it to university.
Lots of poor kids never make it.
Poor kids don't, but there's a big problem in the people who have paid their way and done the work and don't have anything to be rewarded, nothing to show for it.
That's the
because
problem.
of the nature of our economy and the geniuses who made sure that people would be rewarded for the hard work they did. You know, so we're seeing that whole belief system turned upside down, that if you work really hard and you want to make sure that your family, your children have a better life than you had, and have the kind of life that they can carve out for themselves. And, you know...
And like you said, it's been turned on the head in the United States at the very time that we start to ape it, Anne.
Yeah.
I mean, it is surprising. I mean, it is surprising that we're going down this route, but maybe higher education is too expensive and we need fewer graduates. I mean, Tony Blair wanted half of all school leavers to be graduates.
Yes, I know, and it was a crazy idea. It was a pipe dream.
How many boys have you got?
4. I know, and I just saw that bill there. I've got one going to university in September and another one. The next one down, my baby, is he.
I'm sure the others won't mind, Anne.
No, I'm really going to miss him when he goes to university. But he's clever enough to go to Oxford, I think, and I was really hoping that he would. And he's already talking about maybe going to Harvard instead, because he could get a better financial deal out of the States at the moment than he could if he stays and goes to university here at all.
OK, so, but poorer kids, fewer of them going to university, which would mean, hopefully, that more poorer school kids will go into work where they earn more money than they would get had they done a degree in drama and English.
I never went to university. I went straight into work, and luckily it was a scheme where they trained you on the spot.
Right.
And so I was paid while I was being trained to do a professional job, and that's what I
should interrupt, by the way. No, just to interrupt, just had the unemployment figures through. They've gone up again, another 28,000, which means we're still around the 2.7 million mark, which is probably quite good news in one sense, because this is figures up to January. Christmas, I think employers tend not to fire people at Christmas time. It'll be very interesting to see what the next quarter proves. So you've got unemployment is still on the up.
Not all children from poorer families, though, want to go straight into work. Some of them do have designs on being scientists, doctors, engineers and that kind of thing. And these massive debts that they're incurring...
They should go into work and they're sponsored through university. I mean, the government said we're going to encourage more of this to happen, sponsored education. But where are the facts? I'm not seeing it.
No, the military still do it, but not much else, not much more that I'm aware of. Let's throw it open to you. Any of you feeling disappointed by the fact that fewer kids from poorer backgrounds will be going to university this year? Kirsty.
OK, we have Mark on line 1.
Morning, Mark.
Morning, Matthew. I just rang up to complain that it's the media in this. You've made my case for me. You've put the £53,000 debts that you can run up in 3 years on the screen. But the repayments, Nick Clegg got Martin Lewis in, one of the most, the guy's been campaigning on student debt for years and on debt for years, and said, how can we make it better? And he said, all you've got to do is change the repayments. If you don't earn more than £23,000 a year, you don't pay anything back of your student loan. That's index linked.
Can I just...
you never pay back if you don't get promoted.
I don't know, have you...
years, you've written off.
Have you got a mortgage, Mark? Have you got a mortgage?
No.
Right. Take it from someone who has had a mortgage, that when you have a mortgage and you start working, the fear of losing your job can be terrifying, because the weight of everything you have, where you live, the roof over your head, presses down upon you. And we are asking people who come from families, many of whom may not even own their own homes, and we're saying we're trying to set you up to join the middle class, to contribute to society, but when you start, when you enter this brave new world, we're going to load you up with this pressure on the top of your head. Before you've even drawn your first paycheck, you're going to owe 50 grand plus. And I'm telling you, Mark, whatever Martin Lewis says, he's a very nice man, even if he is a bit miserly. He's a very nice chap, OK? It's a pressure. It's a huge pressure. And if you come from a background where you don't experience that kind of financial pressure, where you're not used to it, I would suggest it could be overwhelming.
I agree with you, but if you tell the people that if you don't get a good job when you come out of university, you won't have to pay back. Mortgage companies don't count your student loan against your mortgage. And if you earn more than £24,000 a year, you pay it off at £90 per thousand over that. So if you're on £40,000
one more
when
thing.
you come out of university, which not a lot of people are going to be, you're going to be paying back about £1,500 a year out of your £40,000.
One more thing, Mark. One more thing.
Not a big amount of money.
Why should having a degree, why should furthering your education be directly connected to earnings? And what we're doing with these huge costs is we're saying to people that may want to go and become artists, and not all artists earn much money, or actors where 90-something% don't earn any money, that they're going to be able to enter in the world of potentially long-term unemployment or very low income with massive debt still.
Yes, but they won't have to pay them back because they're not earning the money. If they're not earning £23,000 a year, they don't have to pay them back. That they are protected by law from that debt.
And do you think that's going to encourage people back into the workplace?
And the people, the government are paying for it because...
Do you think that's going to encourage people into the workplace? Do you think that's going to encourage the artist who's fulfilling their dream painting and not repaying the £60,000-70,000 they may have run up in a London art college? Do you think that's going to encourage them to join the workplace, to contribute, if they know that if they do start earning, they have to pay back?
Yes, yes, but if they fail, which as you pointed out, statistically they're going to do, then they're not going to have to pay it back. If you look at the bad side, if rich people should pay more money in tax than poor people. I'm sure you agree with that one.
I do.
So therefore, poor people are protected by this tax. The rich people will pay more money back.
Okay, that is if you assume walking around with a massive debt behind you, hovering above your head, is protection. I don't. Thank you for the call.
And I fear for the future, 20 years down the line, when government, whichever government is in it then, realises that all of this money has not actually been paid back, are they going to be able to sustain the student loan scheme?
Good question. Well, if the rates drop out at the rate they're going at the moment, with the declining numbers, the answer is probably going to be yes, isn't it? Let's have another.
Okay, we'll take Naomi on line 2.
Naomi, good morning.
Good morning.
Is this good news for poorer families that few are going to university?
I think it's sad that the poorer students are being priced out. Which I think is a shame, because I believe that education is a right, but I think it's a privilege to be able to go to university full time.
Right.
I don't see what is wrong with doing a course part time. I know it takes longer. But you'll get there and you can work whilst you're doing it.
Good point. Good point.
Myself, I'm doing an open university course. I can do it part-time, I can do it at home. My circumstances is I am married, I have a mortgage, I have a husband and everything.
Yeah.
But it suits my lifestyle. I know it's not for everyone, but it's achievable. It will take me longer, but I can do it.
I absolutely. I've got a great friend who stayed with me a couple of weeks back. She's doing her law degree part-time, and she had a big weekend of seminars, and it can work for some. You have to wonder, though. I mean, my university experience, full grant, was fantastic. Absolutely of no use whatsoever to earning or contributing to the tax structure of the country, but it was fantastic. And part of that fantastic experience was the fact that I managed to live away from home with people my age, making my mistakes for the first time. Wonderful, wonderful. And I do think the part-timers miss out. Well, yeah. Although, of course, if Scotland goes independent, you have to wonder how long they'll be able to finance that arrangement.
Do it now, quick.
Okay, we'll take Joyce on line 3.
Joyce, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm kind of agreeing with that first caller.
Go on.
I'm kind of agreeing with that first caller, Mark, and adding to this. I know it's an unpopular way of thinking in this country, but not in America, where I went to university. And my family started paying into a college fund from when I was 1 month old.
Yeah.
And so we came from a poor working class background. And my father died when I was 10, but I went to an Ivy League university. And I've never earned a lot of money, but I didn't go for that. I went to become a better person. What I learned about literature, history, poetry, philosophy, nobody can take away, and it's just made my life so much better, even though I don't have a job. You know, if I didn't have a job, and any job I do, I take all that too. And I think that those who really value education will find a way to pay for it. And this idea in this country of not having to pay until you're earning a certain amount is something that in America would be unheard of. But we still have a very high rate of people going to university. I think it's about 60 or 70%.
Indeed.
Can I ask, the fund that was set up for your college fund from when you were 1 month old, did it pay for your university education?
It did, and it was quite expensive. It was $40,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, instead of cars, clothes, holidays. We had holidays, but small ones. Instead of buying all these material things, every time I had a birthday or for religious holidays, money went into the fund. Everybody, relatives put money into the fund.
Okay, the trouble, of course, now is you put money into a fund, you don't get any interest because of the bankers running off and making a mess of things. You might as well just throw it away. Give it to me.
I had girlfriends who were less expensive than
Not many, I suspect. OK, we've got to take a break, after which I'm suggesting we pay smokers less. I want to know how you would feel if your co-worker, right, got an extra 5 weeks holiday a year, yet you both trousered the same wage. I think you'd be pretty miffed, and yet that is exactly how life works out for smokers in the workplace. You spend an hour a day outside, all those hours add up, you know, right? So should we pay them less? 0207 173 5555 is the number, of course, and we'll see you back here after another quick break.
We asked how many extra sick days do smokers take